Welcome to another Q&A Friday. So this is where we answer all the questions that came, well, not all the questions, but a lot of the questions that come in during the week. And then we put it out as a podcast as well as on YouTube in the Reach It Workshop channel. So it's a way to get a fast answer before we produce the really professional answer. So first, I should have coffee. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. All right, let's have some of this. Good. All right. First question of the day. Oh, I might even go over just quickly so you know what's in this one. What's the weight of a tactical pole? What's the weight of a warrior pole? We cover that. What's the difference between hose and tube? We talk about the bottom rinse jets on brushes and when and where and why to use them and maybe how to fit them just a little bit, but we've got a video on that. And then we talk about water hardness and TDS. And then we talk about the scrubbies on the ultralight a little bit. Some people wanted a little bit of information on that. So shall we get into it, Martin?
I'm ready. I have something too.
Oh, good.
I even have some props.
You do have props. Yeah, we're ready to rock and roll. Okay, so the first question is about tactical master pole. And so quite often some of the sales pitches in the industry are about what's the weight of a pole. And that's driven from, if you go back 15, 20 years ago, and then right up until you saw the changes in the brush with constructor brush through to radial brush. When we have a pole, we have to agitate the window. And if you go back to when I started window cleaning, they were fiberglass poles and the poles were crazy heavy. And so we agitate the window and then we would normally with pencil jets or pencil fan jets or fan jets, we would then take the brush off the window and then we would chase the dirty water off the window with the pure water. So all of a sudden the weight of the pole became really important. And when I was selling water-fed window cleaning equipment before we started Reach It, with the Reach It Mini and the Reach It Pro, then we would sell a good customer 5 poles, one for ground floor, one for first floor, one for second floor, one for third floor, one for fourth floor. In those days, we could go out to 5 floors. But the problem with that is you have 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6, plus 4 is 10, plus 5 is 15. You've got 15 floors of pole to clean 5 floors of window. And so that's a lot of weight and a lot of product. Right, it's a waste of product. And what started Reach It was me thinking, because one guy said, do I really have to buy all these poles? Can't I just buy one pole? And that got me thinking, and I thought, okay, the whole industry has got the pole thing wrong. I'll go and make the pole. So I cut down a pole and I made a mini, and then it all kind of Reach It grew from there. So the principle that we want to first achieve is that is the 80-20 rule, to understand that 80% of glass for a residential window cleaner is 2 stories and below, and 80% of glass for a commercial window cleaner would be 3 stories and below, or maybe 4, but unlikely, right? And the logic of that, if you've got a 4-story building, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, then you only use the full extension of that pole to clean 4 stories at 4 stories. And then you come down to 3 stories, you always clean from the top down, so you come from 4 to 3, and if you could shed part of the pole will get lighter. And then you come down to the second floor, shed part of the pole, and the pole will get lighter. So the pole gets lighter as you go down. And those of you who have been to the gym would understand that you can do more weight at the beginning of a session than you can at the end of the session. So you lighten the weights. So the logic is, firstly, you only use the part of the pole that reaches, let's say, 40 feet. You only use that full extension on 4-story buildings, right? And that's assuming there's 11 feet between floors. So there's another conversation about 11 feet between floors for residential, 14, 15, 16 feet between floors on commercial. But the logic is half of that 4-story building is 2 stories and below. Yeah, only 25% of the building is at 4 stories, and 25% of the building you could clean with your hand, right? It's ground floor, right? So So understanding the application of when you need, if you're looking for a 40-foot pole, do you really need a 40-foot pole today? If you've got a 4-story building, you need to be able to get to 40 feet. But once you've finished 40 feet, you're now at 30 feet, and then you're at 20 feet, and then you're at 10 feet, if I simplify it. So the logic of all the reach-it poles is they pull apart one floor at a time. And you can buy a pole at the beginning, like a reach-it mini, or a tactical, or a warrior, and you can buy a pole that reaches the maximum height that you need to get to now, with or without extensions, and then you can add to that pole. So for example, mini can be extended with plus B for tactical. It can be extended to 4 stories max. It's kind of good, super rigid at 2 and 3 stories. And then tactical, you can go from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, and warrior, you can go from 3 or 4, depending if you get it in an elite pack. You go from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 stories, which is like really extreme, water-fed window cleaning. So in our experience, not many guys go to 7. Most guys pull up at 5 or 6. But if you're in a county or a village, you might only have a few 4-story buildings in your town. So there's no reason to be looking at 6 and 7 stories. So it's a different strokes for different folks, and being able to understand what is the rule. But the 80-20 rule says you should buy your pole for 80% of your work, your master pole, whether it's a mini/tactical, and then that becomes the pole that you buy, and then you buy extensions that will extend the pole to the maximum height that you need at the time. And so you don't have to buy a 40-foot pole today. You can buy a 25-foot pole, and then you can extend it to 30, 40, 50 feet, at any time in the future. So
we have all the poles.
Yeah, we have those. I might just demonstrate that. If I grab a tactical, which is like our number 1 selling pole. So we have 7 sections, and sections 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So the clamp on 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, got the wrong one. Right, this will pull through, right? And we have a stainless steel end defender on this one, because now this could be used and touch the ground and get beaten up. And so that stainless steel end defender is there to protect the carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is really brittle. It'll wear down in no time if you don't have an end defender on there. And we give you 304 stainless steel so that it will never wear down. So you can really, genuinely, we've got people who've got 10 years out of their poles, yeah? So if you're just doing 14-foot plus 20-foot work, like 2-story work, then you would just use this pole here with 4 sections. But when you get down to the ground, right, then you'll just pull the number 1 section out, and you can do glass balustrades and groundwork with the number 1 section. And that makes your life very easy. Now,
and with the reach brush, you can also clean negative angles.
And negative angles below the waist. Yeah, good point. So the point about this is that plus A on a tactical or a mini, not that I recommend plus A for mini, I really just recommend plus B for mini, but for tactical, because this is high modulus carbon fiber in these top 4 sections, plus A goes in there. So you can extend this pole by putting plus A between sections 1 and 2, and that'll give you 8-foot 4-inch extension, right? And can you see on the backboard, Martin?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see plus A, the short ones there, are for the tactical and the mini. And then plus B, the yellow one, it can extend this pole, thanks man, it'll extend this pole between sections 4 and 5. Now the reason we don't put the extension on the base anymore, we actually registered a patent, we never went through with it because it cost too much, but we were the ones that registered the patent for the extension that goes on the handle, right? But overall, the bigger the diameter of the tube, the heavier the pole is. There's more carbon fiber in it. So we're adding all this weight to the bottom of the pole and basically pushing the bottom of the pole down and pushing the flex into the pole. So when we put our extensions in the middle of the pole, right, they're actually a high modulus carbon fiber as well. So they add rigidity to the pole where and when it wants to flex. So if a tactical won't flex at all as a tactical, but but you take a tactical up to 5 stories and it'll want to flex by the nature of the stresses on the carbon fiber. So if we put high modulus for the extensions. Now, modulus is weight versus stiffness, right? So if we can put a lighter extension in that's a higher modulus, that's more stiff, right? Then we can put that in the middle. Then that gives us a benefit because we've got less weight in the pole. So the reason why we add the plus B in between 4 and 5 and we add the plus A between sections 1 and 2 is to make sure that you're adding the least amount of weight possible for the extension that you want. Let me pass you that. So how much does a tactical weigh? Well, a tactical weighs around 2 kilograms, 4.4 pounds or something like that, but you never counterlever a tactical. Like the brush is always on the glass, the pole is always leaning against the building except between windows. So the logic is we can make a lighter pole by using less carbon fiber, and we can use less carbon fiber by either giving you longer sections, but the longer the sections are, the further away the clamps are from you, so the less ergonomic it is for you to use it efficiently. So we go with shorter sections, bring the clamps, especially for shorter folk, but also for the tall guys, it's still, ergonomically better than the 7-foot poles, like our Reach It Pro was. And but it's cheaper to get to 40 feet with 6-foot sections than it is with 5-foot sections, right? Because you end up with more carbon fiber. And then then we develop the radial brush so that the brush is always on the glass, and the jet streams from radial squirt all the way out to the edges of the brush, over the top and close to the bristles, so that you can go across the top edge and around the corner, scroll through the corner and down the side, and you never have to lift off the brush. Some of the other rinse bars that guys have gone to try and introduce rinse bars to their brushes, they still sit, the rinse bars end inside the block of the brush, and then they press the brush on the glass and the bristles splay. So sometimes the first jet is 2 inches away from the outside edge. They can't rinse into the corners, they can't rinse down the edge. So then you're back to lifting the pole off the glass, and then
that is very tiring. When you're on height, that's going to be extremely tiring.
You're straining yourself.
Because also if the pole is moving all the time, you have to balance it, and you're like...
The load on your core is crazy. Yeah. And in the old days, I was doing fiberglass, and I got this knotted muscle in my back, right? And it was one of the reasons why I stopped window cleaning, was because I was in so much pain in this one spot, and I couldn't knuckle it out. I'd go to parties, and I'd be like this. Everybody's going, "Are you all right?" Yeah, I said, "Yeah, I just got pain here."
You can clean faster and less than...
Yeah, because then ergonomics becomes really critical. Like the less you work in calories and effort to achieve the result, the more fresh you are, the more work you can do, the less you eat in order to achieve, because sometimes people go, I want to buy a cheaper pole, and I go, dude, you're going to eat more to run a cheaper pole, so you're going to pay for it one way or the other. You're either going to buy a faster pole. You want to buy a rigid, precise, accurate pole that works as a drive shaft and an axle for the function of water-fed window cleaning. So actually tactical doesn't have any weight except the weight of the pole that you buy, which is the weight of it fully extended, right? But it has a weight at, for example, if you buy it with a shock stop in a tactical elite pack, maybe it's 2.8 kilograms, which is B5.6, about 6 pounds, and you've got like 6 pounds of pole that will reach 3 stories. But then you've got like 3.5 pounds for 2-story and less than, and maybe 1 pound or 1 pound for 1-story for groundwork and glass balustrades. So the weight of the pole is determined by the height that you're cleaning, and then as soon as you've cleaned at that height, you then strip off the part of the pole that you don't need. And if you're starting just on a 2-story building, you won't take out the whole tactical or mini or warrior. You'll just take out the part that does that job, and that's the weight of the pole at that height. And there's no big deal adding weight to the pole to reach higher, knowing that you can take that weight off. So that is the answer to that. Now, for the warrior pole, the only difference, the logic is the same. Warrior pulls apart at section 1, 3, and 5, so it pulls apart in more places. Plus A goes between 5 and 6. Plus B goes between 3 and 4, like that. And the Warrior, if you look at the board, you'll see that they're longer, so they actually extend another 11 foot 4 inches, which is 1 story. So the Warrior extensions are 1 story at a time, and that gives you the same logic, same reason. The Warrior extensions, the plus A and plus B, are ultra high modulus carbon fiber, like the top of the Warrior pole, and the rest of the Warrior pole is high modulus carbon fiber. So we're trying to make sure that the pole stays as rigid as possible under all conditions. But obviously, the higher you go, the more load there is on the pole, so the more it'll want to flex and have the curve on the pole. So one day I might make maybe next Q&A I'll talk about the different techniques between cleaning at 7, 6, 5, 4, like that with a Warrior, because you change your technique slightly with each floor, and you can keep the pole as rigid as possible. Can you remember that for me, Martin? Tell Jen.
Yes.
That the 7
5, and 4.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, there's a different technique. If you master this, you increase your efficiency and the effect. Alrighty, so that is topic 1. I get to drink a coffee.
I will take a note.
Okay. This one is kind of interesting. What's the difference between hose and tube? Right? So hose and tube are, most people use them as interchangeable words, but if you do want to know the scientific meaning of a hose is it's multiple ply, and a tube is a single ply. So if you look at high flow tube, we could look at that. Yeah, this is high flow tube. You can look at that and you can see it's a polyurethane material made 1 ply, so it's extruded just as a single material. There's no layers and layers. And if you look at, this is our new hose, which we're going to start selling soon. I have it in stock. I was trying to bring it out for Black Friday, but it arrived during Black Friday. Yeah, so this one, you can see there's 3 ply. So there's an inner layer, then there's a braid, which is like a pressure hose, but it's not a pressure hose. Yeah, you got the shakes there, Martin.
I'm trying to see if I can get it sharper.
The sharper, yeah. So there's a layer, then a braid, and then a layer. So those guys who do pressure washing would understand that. The braid enables the hose to carry more pressure because the integrity of the hose is controlled by the braid. And the wall thickness of these hoses is more, right? So if we can master, when you talk about lie flat, non-kink, some of the materials have to be sort of single ply, but this hose here is a fantastic long run, 150 feet in a roll, and can you see that?
Hardly.
I can bring it across. So this is high vis, non-kink, non-reaction to hot and cold, minimal reaction to hot and cold, let's say. And it's a very, very nice soft hose. And the logic is that this hose will carry twice the volume of high flow at the same pressure. So if you and the laminar turbulent water flow wall friction loss, that's all technical terms, but basically the loss or the resistance of this hose is significantly less than high flow, which is significantly less than rhino tube.
So it doesn't matter what pressure you have. It's the diameter of the hose.
The ID of the hose determines the flow rate, and also because it changes it has a lower resistance factor, right? So more water can get through with less pressure loss, so you get a higher flow rate, right? So you should always, in all your fluid dynamic systems, you should always go from high to low, and you should, as much as possible, avoid using barbs for your connectors as much as possible.
So you need a big hose from the tap.
Yeah, from the tap to ideally from the tap to your pure water system, you'd use something like an American Garden hose, right? Which is much bigger than this again. And then from the pure water system, because half that water went to waste, let's say, and the other half comes to here, Now already you've lost some of the flow rate through the water, through the filter, and so you can run 150 feet or longer even of this, 300 feet. And then this will carry the water to the work zone, and then, ideally 75 feet of high flow going up the pole, but you can have up to 150 feet of high flow. And then after that, you're starting to notice too much flow rate loss as a result of the resistance. That is scientifically part of any hose or tube. There's lots and lots of things that determine it, like how smooth the inside is, whether it turbulates the water and increases the resistance and all that kind of thing.
Well, we did a video on that different.
Yeah, that's a great video. Yeah.
You can find it in the Future of Cleaning store, High Flow.
Yeah, I think if you look up Future of Cleaning, if you Google or YouTube, Future of Cleaning and then 5/16 inch, and I think the video is called Why You Need to Get Rid of Your 5/16 inch Tube.
But you can find it in the high flow section.
Oh, the high flow section of the play. You mean the playlist?
Yeah.
On the product page. Got it. Product page. So futureofcleaning.com, search product radial high flow tube, and then that video will be sitting there where we really, really demonstrate it. Yeah, we might even add the link somewhere if we can. I'm sure we can. All right. Good to have a coffee again. That's the end of that one. Any questions you have, by the way? Whether the questions are inspired by this or you have another question you think, geez, nobody's ever answered this question, right? You fire that off to us either in the comments on YouTube or in Facebook, if you know us on Facebook, or by messenger or by email. But if you're watching this, you're probably in YouTube, right? So,
yeah.
So just leave a comment below, any question you want, and we'll try and get to it in the next Q&A Friday.
And we will also do workshops now.
Yes. Yeah, we're back into the workshops now that Black Friday is over. All we have is our VIP high roller team, a high roller room event on December 007th.
Thank you to everyone.
We had a great, amazing Black Friday sale. Amazing. We had the highest November ever, highest Black Friday ever by maybe 2.5 times, and then the highest day ever. So it was really kind of exciting for us. We do appreciate your support. Makes it all worthwhile for us. To keep, not worthwhile for us in hindsight, it makes it worthwhile for us to keep going and doing what we're doing, because we know a lot of people appreciate it. All right. So that question came from the first question came from Marinus Petrus Timmers. Oh my God, what a name. That's long. So Marinus Petrus Timmers on live chat. So he would be coming out of Europe, I would be guessing. Tube and hose came out of our boardroom conversations because we were answering a question. Ray H asked this on YouTube. And there goes another question that I didn't see. Let me just bold that up. Bold. Where am I? Command Z. Yeah, that should be bold there. Okay, let's go. All right. Next question.
Right.
So, hi Perry. First of all, thanks for going through the process of explaining how the IDs of tubes with me. So I've had that conversation with him. I was struggling to get the flow I needed out of my radial. Now I use 8mm ID real hose, which is great. 8mm ID is probably 5/8 inch. And at 80 meters in the high flow tubing at 60 PSI, which works great for me. So that basically Ray's already written to me. I've had that conversation with him, and that is exactly the right way to go. We have to, if you want to use a radial brush with a radial technique, you have to change. Maybe you have to change them, maybe you don't, but don't blame the brush if it doesn't work the way it's designed. Somewhere else in your system, you've got something old. Yeah, so you go throwing a new motor in your car, and it's got retread tires, and then you go zipping down the road at 100 miles an hour and your retreads peel. Well, if you have a motor that can take your car at 100 miles an hour, maybe you've got to put proper tires on. So you've got to, and we've had to do the same. We've had to work the way from saying, what do we want to achieve at the glass, because we want to have the fastest brush because the brush cleans the glass, and then we have to work our way back and then bit by bit improve everything. And then if there's not naturally available in the industry, then for example this hose, then we'll bring this hose out and say, well, here it is. This is your long run hose, rather than saying to you, you could use this hose or that hose. But it's better that we supply it to you. So this will be available, by the way. This will be called radial hose, and this will be available maybe December. We'll put it on the ocean to the States and to Australia. So it's probably not viable at this point anywhere outside of the States. Maybe Canada, we can do some and get some to Canada. But sea shipping, we can't just send one by sea. As you can imagine, we're going to send a couple of pallets at least. So that just gives you an idea. And we've also got a reel. So actually we're going to put 50 meters on a reel with 75 feet of high flow, and then that will be the pack that we sell.
About the video, it's called High Flow, Increase Your Flow Rate.
High Flow, Increase Your Flow Rate is the name of the video that you can find.
To understand pressure, flow rate, and how they work together.
Yeah, we do this amazing demonstration. Man's on top of a 6-story building looking down, and I'm laying everything out, and then we put the script together over the top of it, and we show you the difference in the jet streams when you change from one tube to another and one hose to another. All right, so Ray continues. He says, I'm very interested in using the underjets which come with radial, but never fitted them, as I don't want to cut the tubing and fitting them and find that I'm not getting the flow stream over the brush again. Yes, fair call. And I can't go back as I've cut my tubing to fit the underneath jets. So by fitting them, will it affect the jet stream? And can I demonstrate how to fit them? Well, we do have a video on how to fit them, but I can demonstrate. Right.
We have a video called Unboxing Radial Rocker.
Right, so the video which is on YouTube and on the Radial Rocker page is,
it's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. Oh, because we changed the Radial Rocker page, yeah. So the video is called Unboxing Radial Rocker.
And in the end of that video, the last part is how to add the base jets.
Right. Right, how to add the base jets. Okay, so I should grab a radial rocker as well, actually, to talk about that.
And it's quite easy, actually.
Yeah, the fitting of them. His concern is whether it's going to, because he started off with something like Rhino tube. Then he changed to high flow. Now his jets are working perfectly. And he's saying, you gave me these base jets. If I fit them, will I lose my flow rate over the top? And the answer is, I don't know. So if you zoom in here, Martin, so what he's talking about, this is on deep frame. Deep frame and Solar Rock, I have these jets fitted naturally.
The white one.
The white one. The white one's there. So there's 4 jets on this side, 4 jets on this side. So 4 jets on the left, 4 jets on the right for the people listening to the podcast. And they are on the bottom of the brush where the water comes into the brush. Okay, so every time somebody buys a radial rocker, we put those in case they have the flow rate to add them, but we don't add them in case you don't, because everybody's flow rate's different. And the industry, most people are gravitating towards Reach It, and then in that gravitation, they've got older stuff that's designed for pencil jets and fan jets and even some of the people have got some of the other rinse bars which are not designed the same way as we design ours. So they work with a lower flow rate, but they don't do the same thing. So you lose the efficiency. They don't solve the efficiency. They just give you they give you a rinse bar. So they may affect efficiency. I don't want to undermine the value that they might add, but they don't add the same value as jet streams that go all the way across to the outside of the bristle when it's splayed on the glass. Okay, so if you wanted to fit those base jets, you would have to cut the exact length of the insert, let's say, out of these, and that's easy on the video, so we don't have to go through that. The question is, does it affect the flow rate? And the answer is yes, of course. Firstly, noticing that the water comes in through the bottom of the brush, and we're adding jets to the bottom of the brush. And that water, if you understand water, water always finds the path of least resistance. So if it can come in through the bottom of the brush and then go out through the bottom of the brush, it's going to want to do that. Now, obviously, the pressure and flow rate that we're pushing into the brush determines how much of the water gets to the top of the brush and then out through the the radial shaped jet streams, right? So we've got to be able to get the water to bend. It comes in through the bottom, around to the top, and then it has to bend and turn back 60 degrees on itself and go 60 degrees back the way it came. And that's the hydroblade. Yep.
And also the bases also have this blade.
Yeah, the base has splay. It's a very good point. So the base jets, for those who don't know what they are, they also splay. So each of the 4 jets squirts in different places. They don't just squirt straight, right? So we're trying to give you a...
So we try to give you multiple.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So we try and give you an amount of water. So why do we do that? Well, if you've got really dirty windows, the downstroke is critical for removing the dirty water. So what we've found is that on really dirty windows, if you can add water to the downstroke, you can pull and turbulate more dirt into that water, so you get more dirt off the glass in a single stroke as compared to leaving the water inside the brush or over the brush, right? So that's why, for example, deep frame has it standard, because usually commercial jobs are not as regular.
Even the solar rocker has
Solar rockers has them. Yeah, solar rockers the other way around, where we put the less water on the top because we don't want to be pushing dirty water up the windows so much, but we still need water above the brush as part of the agitation function. But actually, most of the jets on a solar rocker are on the bottom, so that we can pull amazing amounts of dirty water off in volume, turbulating, not in a sort of semi-dry environment. So if, in basic terms, if a radial rocker, like all of the radial brushes are all designed for a 2.5 litre per minute, 2 to 2.5 litre a minute, which is around half a gallon a minute flow rate, then you would add 50% of that again for the flow rate required to have the brush perform in the same way with base jets. So around 3 litres a minute for a deep frame, or 3/4 of a gallon per minute, maybe a little bit less than that, So,
and you can also say that it sounds a lot, but because the brushes are designed to clean much faster,
yeah.
so you don't really use more water.
Yeah, so that's a good point, right? Yeah. So sometimes guys go, oh, I don't want to use that much water. And we go, if you use a higher flow rate, you can increase your time by multiples, not just like 10%, like multiples. So if you've increased your efficiency by multiples, you're now using less water volume, right? So you use a higher flow rate to use less volume. And that's the efficiency of the science behind the radial brush, yeah? So the other thing that I wanted to think about, Martin, is if somebody wanted to test what it would look like, then you could disassemble the brush at the T-piece where the water comes in, and then just push the base jets in there, isn't it? I'm kind of thinking aloud. His question is, I don't want to cut this tube, fit those jets, and then find that my radial top jets don't work.
So what I would do is I would measure exactly the size of this.
No, as soon as he cuts, he can't go back. That's his point.
No, that's what I mean. So measure this so you know exactly the length of this. Otherwise,
well, this goes all the way around to here. So, but if he doesn't have rhino tube, he can't cut that without knowing. But we can put the jet in there. We'll make a video on that. I think we'll make a video on that. I'll get my engineers to work out a way to do it. Or we'll add a little piece of tube to everybody's in the future so you can do it.
Yeah, maybe it could be like you get the whole tube for the base jet.
Yes, or at least the second part. So we tell them to cut it here and then add this.
Yeah.
Well, no, that won't work either. That also won't work.
We think about that later.
We'll think about it. Yeah.
We try to solve it.
So what we're going to do is solve this problem, how to test the brush without changing the brush, right? So that if you don't have enough flow rate or whatever, or maybe we'll give an extra length. No, we'll add some more rhino tube, I think.
Yeah, add more rhino tube and the inline.
Yeah, with the inline bit. Yeah, just change it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that would be a good idea.
Send me a note. No, we'll do that. No, I'll do it. I know exactly what's the right idea. That is definitely the right idea. Okay, so can you send me a note on that?
Yeah.
and we'll change what we do in the future.
And the tube to
File.
inline basted.
Yeah, it's just so that they can just fit it and then unfit it and change the flow rate of the brush with or without those jets. Whew. Got me thinking. But that's why we like to stay as close as we can to the customer, as a manufacturer, because before when we have distributors now, but the distributors don't usually communicate with us the same as an end user does. And because I was a window cleaner and because I designed the brush, if somebody says something which I go, yeah, that's a problem, but we can solve that problem, then we solve that problem. That's how we go. So that's how we've been able to develop these brushes so fast. And then everybody else has to follow, but they can't follow what we're doing in the future. They can only follow what we've done in the past, and they won't follow what we've done in the past until 1 or 2 years later, till they see whether we've solved all the problems or whether we have problems or bad press or anything like that. So we have this really nice lead time.
We appreciate your feedback. It's always helpful. Everything can always get better.
Everything can get better. Not that I have many ideas left, but let's go. All right, so the next question is from Joe Gutierrez. I don't know how to say that. And his question is, so does a water-fed pole system remove hard water stains? And the answer is no. So there's many forms of hard water stain, but the majority of hard water stains come from sprinklers, and they're usually on the ground floor. If you get hard water stains higher than ground floor, the chances are they're coming from the surface, the cladding of the building, like something like stucco, which has got lime in it, and as it oxidizes, that oxidation will get caught up in the rain and it'll run down over the glass. So that if it's from stucco, yes, water-fed can take it off, no problem. But if it's from sprinklers, the chances are that the sprinklers go on and leave the beads of water on, the beads of water dry, leave the calcium and the magnesium, the hardness, right, onto the glass. And then they do that over and over and over again, and there's a chemical bond between the calcium and the silicate, which makes the glass. So the hard water stains become bonded to the glass, and then you have to use something like One Restore, or there's some other ones which are basically calcium, magnesium, dissolving acids. And then you have to know exactly how to do that so you don't acid etch the glass and damage the glass, and then you're up for repair or insurance or something like that.
We should also say that you can take it up with water first, but maybe you need the rocker with the scrubs.
Yes. So you.
Not all.
No, that's right. No, if it's calcium on glass, now you can. If somebody's got sprinklers and you can get to regular cleaning their windows, and you can prevent that, right? It's really a long-term process that somebody actually gets hard water stains on the glass. But if they clean their windows once a year and the sprinklers are on every day, and you've got a hot environment and it cooks on, and I don't know how. I haven't really researched too deep as to where that point is, but definitely, more regular cleaning is going to reduce the risk of that kind of reaction happening with it, where it bonds with the glass. And then you would use your lunch is here.
Sorry.
And then you can use if you use radial rocker, then you've got the different scrubs and the different agitation, which makes it much faster to cut through the oxidation related or stucco, oxidation related. They call it hardness. Hard water staining, but it's different to sprinkler hard water staining. All right, coffee time. 2 more.
2 more. 40 minutes.
I can talk. All right, so this one is water hardness versus TDS. And in particular, we have atomic resin on the Pacific Ocean right now. It's December the 2nd or December the 3rd, something like that, 2021. So we have 2 atomic resins coming out now. It's already in Australia. And one of them is a hard water blend and the other one is a soft water blend. So what is water hardness, and why would I use a hard water blend or a soft water blend? And so it goes like this. Water hardness is defined as the parts per million or milligrams per liter, depending on what you're reading. But the parts per million that are calcium, and magnesium. And it might only be calcium, but anyway, calcium and magnesium both contribute to what's called water hardness. So if you Google your town and then the words water quality report, usually, and there's very rarely that I can't find it, then usually you can find the report and it'll have TDS and hardness separated. And sometimes it'll go through suburb by suburb. So what we might do, Martin, I've got the report from Perth, right? And we can put that into this video. And so we...
It's not just the TDS, the number of the TDS, but also
correct.
what type of
what is in the TDS, yeah.
Okay.
So high TDS is not hard water. High calcium and magnesium in the water is hard water. So you'll see that there's two suburbs that I will highlight into this video, and there's Banbury and there's Two Rocks. And one has got, both of them have got high TDS, but one has got high hardness and the other one doesn't. So in the one which has high hardness, then you would use a hard water mix of mixed bed DI resin. So what that does is it has more cation resin in it, like 65% cation, and that cation is aimed at taking the calcium and the magnesium out of the water, right? So that gives you an idea is the problem is that it's not the same everywhere, so you have to really know that most of your area has got a lot of lime, a lot of calcium in the water. And if you think about the UK where they've got the White Cliffs of Dover, right? So anything that rains in Dover, it's going to run over the ground into a lake, but it's run over the ground that's loaded with calcium. Like it's just white, everything's white. Or if it goes into a lake and then through an aquifer and underground rivers and through porous rock and all that sort of thing, it's going to pick up crazy amounts of calcium. So in the UK... well, you're better to get silicates. Silicates are better. That's like San Pellegrino. That's good water. Like for some parts of the UK, they can get hard water with TDS 900, of which most of that TDS is calcium, like that. So if you look at it, if you can look through the different reports, and you can have a little bit of a study on this, and we might even do a little voiceover. I might cut a voiceover in, Martin, into this video.
This is us explaining what happens with different water qualities with hardness and TDS. So this is a report from the Perth Water Control Department, whatever it is. And you can see here I've got TDS and I've got the hardness, and these are all the suburbs of Perth. So I'm going to go to a couple of them, for example, with high TDS, high hardness, low TDS, low hardness, that kind of thing. So if we take Buckland Hill and we come across and we find that the TDS is an average or a mean of 450, and the hardness here, so the hardness is 67. So that would be 15% hardness. Now if we come down to dwelling up, we can say it's a low TDS area. Yeah, so close to soft water, still in Perth. And the hardness is 30. So that's like 21%. And then we'll come all the way down to Two Rocks. This is alphabetical down here, so just Two Rocks. Here you've got like pretty high TDS, 525, and the hardness is 220. So that's like 42% hardness, 2 to 3 times what we looked at before. And then we can have a look at another example is Pinjarra, and this is, again, you'd say, low TDS for Perth, so it's coming from a different water supply than the high TDS areas, but the hardness is 55. So that's like 36%, so that's also quite high. So you would say this is low TDS hard water, compared to high TDS, low hardness, high hardness. So you can't make too much of this because you're going to clean windows in all of these suburbs maybe, but if you're only cleaning in a certain region, you could look this up and say, okay, for the majority of the work that I have, I have a high percentage of hardness, in which case you'd use a hard water blend of atomic resin or mixed bed DI resin. But if most of your areas are relatively low, sort of 15 to 20% hardness or less in your water quality report, then there's no advantage. You'd actually spend more on mixed bed DI resin than you would if you were using the 50/50, the standard, window cleaners DI resin. Okay, and then back to me.
Okay, so that's water hardness and TDS, and then if you have high hardness, then you could save more money on if you're a DI user. Doesn't matter if you're in an RO, it doesn't apply. You just use 50/50 mixed bed resin for ROs. But if you're in a DI only environment and you want to use resin and DI tanks, then you would use the hard water blend. So why would you do that? Well, if you're an irregular user, or you're using the drive-through car wash method, where you're washing the windows and frames with tap water, and then you're leaving tap water on the glass. The windows are clean, but the water's not. And then you go back and put DI water through your DI tanks, and then you just go over every window, 5 seconds a window, take off the tap water, leave the spot-free water, and you've got spot-free windows. So that's one. Irregular users, just casual users and stuff like that, where you don't want to spend $1,500 to $2,000 on a reverse osmosis system because you don't use it enough, so you'll never get a return on investment. You can use DI resin. It's not cheap, but it's cheaper, right? So therefore, it's the right way to go. All right, last one. Whew.
Last one, and then a new brush.
Anyone who makes it this way, well, this is the last one, the new brush. So anybody who's made it this far must be a fan, and so I don't mind talking in Q&As about what's coming and getting some feedback from you. But this is a prototype of a mini version of an ultralight, right? So the logic of this is we often have been asked over the years for a brush that's dedicated for French panes, yeah? Or cut-ups. Some places in America, they call them cut-ups. So we can make this 6 inches, 8 inches, or whatever. So the feedback that I want from you is, what is the width of a cut down ultralight, right? That would suit the French panes that you're cleaning, because we can start. We can't make too many of them, but I'm thinking maybe a 6-inch one and an 8-inch one. This one is 8 inches. Why would you do that? Well, you could use a radial light or a radial, because the bristles will go over the frames. But if the window is heavily oxidized, the frames are heavily oxidized, then all of a sudden you're really just releasing the oxidation, so you can never really get the windows clean without scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing, and you burn all your time. So if you had a brush that could just go up and down inside each pane, you're not disturbing the oxidized paint or plastics on the frames, and then you can actually clean the windows in record time. That's the logic of it. And you can see this. And this is we've just got this on a trad 4, right? So you can get some sort of dimension, but this is a 3-section pole, and with a Kevlar handle, and it's kind of like what a lot of guys use when they're doing ground floor work, is they use the trad poles. Yeah. And we can fit tube runner to this if you want. Somebody wants to use a trad 4 for water fit.
Our friend in Australia, Byron, yes, he often uses this.
He often uses it, yeah.
When he's on ground floor.
Yeah. So if you are still here watching this, which I hope you are, and then your feedback on this. We don't see it as a big seller, but we see it as meeting a niche that nobody can meet, right? There's no other brush can meet. We couldn't meet it before. We think this is the only way to meet it. I always felt if you have a sort of a 2-inch brush like Radial Rocker, even if we cut it down to 6 inches, it would, by the time it's splayed, it's like 3.5 inches, and then you're going up and down in a 6-inch window. It just wouldn't work. So we have to make a really, really narrow brush that can go up and down and get agitation inside the frames of the cut-up.
The same technology. It's the high-grade bristles. It's the scrubby.
Yeah, you got a little scrubby in there. That's a white non-scratch pad. So that gives you...
Hydroblade jets.
Yep, these are going to splay out. The bristles will splay out into the corners so you can scroll it through the corners.
Same pivot.
Everything the same.
Everything the same.
But if you're in a French pane with one of these, you would just do up and down.
Yeah.
You can't go into the corners, right, so much. So unless it was a bigger one. If it was a 12-inch, if it was a 12-inch cut up, you could use the radial technique. But other than that, it's a straight pull technique, like a deep frame technique. All right, how do we go, Martin?
We're at 47 minutes.
Wow, what a
But,
chat.
A lot of great questions, and I hope we could give you the information that you need to move forward and clean faster, better.
Yeah, education is definitely power. Every question you can get answered that you didn't know before starts you thinking. And the whole thing to think about is, how do I clean windows faster? It's the principle of personal best. Like, if you're the fastest runner in the world, the guy who's the fastest runner in the world has nobody to compete against in order to get faster. So he has to be basically a PB. His competitor is PB. And I always think as a window cleaner that you don't know enough other window cleaners. You don't know how fast other window cleaners clean. So you have to base everything on the personal best. So you have to challenge yourself, use the radial technique, perfect the radial technique, challenge yourself, because everybody wants to go back and do a rinse phase, but 90% of the time you can agitate on the upstroke, rinse on the downstroke, and move to the next window. But I still see, I understand completely why, but we still want to go back and rinse it one more time, right? Everything we do which is not necessary is we do for ourselves. So the ability to challenge yourself and be able to work yourself faster by checking, you do it, you clean the windows faster, and then you go back and check if they are clean. If they're not clean, you go, okay, I messed that one up. I miscalculated. But sometimes you might find one set of strokes can clean a window, but you're doing 2 sets of strokes or 3 sets of strokes because you're not confident. So you have to challenge yourself as a window cleaner, because everything is about speed.
Yeah, because also then the better, faster you get, the more money you can make, and also you can hire staff.
You can, This is the real principle: is to get, if you can get to $150+ per hour, you can scale your business, right? You've got money for advertising, you've got money for repairs on your vehicles, you've got money to put staff on, you've got money for rainy days and snowy days, you've got money for everything, right? So the target money is, $150, $200 an hour, even in the socioeconomic, CD demographics. Because obviously in the States, like Maryland, like those guys are getting $10 a side of a window, but you go out to Nelson, Iowa, and it's like $1.50, so the efficiency needs to be really important.
You can download our free catalog.
Oh, you're doing a bit of a pitch there, Martin. So this, if you have never heard of the radial technique and you're new to us, then we have a 56-page catalog, which is everything I knew about window cleaning a year ago. But we need to upgrade it, man. There's so much more. We're going to add the hose and the tube, and we're going to add the ultralight.
The radial technique, and if you want to see the radial technique, we have a video exactly how you do step by step. Exactly.
Where would they find the video on the radial technique?
The radial technique you will find in the Radial Rocker on our web store, and also the radial in our web store, or you can find it on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
So
futureofcleaning.com, radial brush, and then you'll find the radial technique.
Or the Radial Rockers.
Or the Radial Rocker. Pardon me.
This is very helpful and very easy to understand. And
there you go.
More into reading a catalog, we have step-by-step.
Yeah, we have a hard copy and we have a soft copy. You can download the PDF from the store. When I search the store, I search for hard copy, and you always get this first up, but you can also look up how to clean windows faster manual. That's the other way. All right, I think we're done, Martin.
I think we're done.
So that is our Q&A Friday. If you have any questions, please add them to the comments below. And if you like what we're doing and you feel like other people could benefit, then a little bit of a share. Remember, if you want a notification when we release a Reach It workshop, I think you have to subscribe and hit the notifications, the little alarm bell symbol, and then YouTube will send you an email saying that the Reach It workshop has a new video coming out. So that'd be pretty cool. We like to see the subscription go up, and because it just means we're helping more people. That's the bottom line for it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we will be having more Reach It workshop.
Yes.
Here, we have it.
We've got 3 that are scripted but not recorded yet. So we'll record those in the next couple of days.
Okay.
Next week now. It's Friday.
All right.
Okay. See you guys. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you at the Reach workshop.